What is going on, guys? Welcome to yet again another video, Masai Gains on Cars. Today, as you can hear from the rumble outside, I'm in my wonderful Land Cruiser 80 series, just purring with character and swag. But yeah, this car just beats any other in terms of personality. It sounds good, it's got a rumble, it's got a straight six engine, just putting out 200 horsepower or so. Simple 4-speed transmission, but I love it. So much character. So today we're gonna talk a bit about my 80 series, how it's doing after my transmission flush. Actually, I'm gonna drive a bit right now and explain. As you know from one of the previous videos, we did the transmission fluid flush, and as you saw, the fluid in this vehicle was quite dirty. I believe it was the original fluid and it really needed a change. It was quite dirty, so we put in the fresh fluid, genuine fluid, of course, ATF, and it is performing just worlds apart from what it was doing before. And I couldn't shout about this enough, about maintaining your transmission by switching out your transmission fluid every 40,000-50,000 kilometers or 100,000 kilometers if that's where your first flush is. But get it done, because it does make a huge difference. Other thing is the driving pleasure of this kind of vehicle. As you can see, it's just about sunset here in Nairobi. It's gorgeous, and there's just something about driving an older vehicle, you know, a 90s vehicle, a 90s Land Cruiser, with that, you know, proper rumble of the engine. I mean, this is a petrol. I know a lot of people go for the diesels, but hey, I'm loving this 1FZ FE petrol, 4.5 liters. Of course, this vehicle has got miles smoother than what it was when I first bought it, and that has mainly to do with the changes I've done, which was changing out a bunch of the bushings underneath, especially those radius arms, which are quite pricey, and yeah, rebuilding my swivel hub, because that was of course leaking some grease, and changed a bunch of other parts just to make the car run smoother. And transmission fluid was one of them that came kind of recently. Yeah. For the purpose of this video, I wanted to take you through the full changes that I've done to my Land Cruiser 80 series, and so I'll show you the before and the afters. But before we do that, we're going to go through some of the front end stuff that I did get worked on in the last video. Just a quick update in case you missed that, so you know where we reached with this vehicle. So if you come with me, as you can see, it's already looking 100 times better. What did we change? We of course changed those headlights. You know, before we had the halogen headlights. I've moved to the European style. I actually did like the halogen headlights, but the European style looks really attractive. It's grown on me a lot, and I'll tell you another reason why I did that is because I made one of the bulbs blue, and that's actually the dim bulb, and it's just a really cool light to have. So I'm going to switch these on for you right now so you can see what I'm talking about. But the headlights changed, and I also changed the grille. Now, I know a lot of you know that this particular grille was actually for the pre-1995 models of the 80 series. So yes, I do know that, I am aware of that, but I think this is more attractive than the grille that came after. I always wanted my 80 to kind of have the Toyota text in the middle, and this one does have that. So I quite like it, and I think this front end is really flexing now. It really looks really appealing and good for an 80 series. So this is how the front end of this vehicle is looking with that brand new grille and these amazing European headlights. So I'm going to switch these headlights on for you right now and turn the vehicle on, and we can see how this looks. So I know, granted, it's daylight, so I know you couldn't see the lights perfectly over there, but this is where we're at with my Land Cruiser 80 series. I mean, I have been thinking about upgrading the springs, maybe just changing out the springs and getting a bit of like a 1-inch lift, but so far I'm really happy with how this vehicle is looking. And what I love a lot is how high it sits. Even though you guys know I'm on stock suspension here, we're running a 285 75 R16 tire. So this is the ideal size. Any 80 series owner will tell you this is one of the most ideal sizes for a tire on an SUV. And I'll give you the reasons for that right now. All right. So as we talk about why I would always stick to this particular tire size, the 285 75 R16. According to me, if you go bigger than this, then you're going for 35s. This is just about approximately a 33-inch tire, which works well in most scenarios. Tarmac and off-road, mud, sand, whatever it is. When you go for a 35-inch tire, I feel like it starts to affect engine performance. It's just a really sluggish performance because of how fat that tire is, unless you upgrade your vehicle. So this kind of tire, I feel, has not had any impact on my vehicle's performance, but has had a lot of impact on off-road performance and just overall smoothness of the vehicle. So really cool. Of course, I'm running steel rims, 16-inch rims, and this particular tire is a BF Goodrich. But it's just been functioning really well, especially after I changed the bushes in this vehicle. And you know, after some time I might look into changing maybe the shocks and the springs, but so far the setup, according to me, the setup is just perfect, so I wouldn't change it for now. So I'm now going to give you the before and the afters of this vehicle. Let's go through the slides and see the progress that we have made.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're with my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got.
So as you saw, this vehicle has come a good long way and a good amount of time, actually. If we think about it, I purchased this vehicle in 2020, start of 2020 actually. So we're going, start of 2021. So we're just going on a year or so of owning this vehicle. And what are my thoughts as a new Land Cruiser 80 series owner, if we could just speak about this? Because I mean, maybe it's a rare scenario, but I do also own a Land Cruiser 100 series. So actually acquiring an 80 series after owning a 100 series, how does that feel? Well, I am gonna do a video comparing the two since I have the two. But initial impressions are that the two, while quite similar in being Land Cruisers, being rugged vehicles that are gonna take you anywhere, always start, and you know, great engines, proper rugged build quality, you know, nothing less that you'd expect of a Land Cruiser coming out of a Land Cruiser factory, because we all know Land Cruisers are not your standard Toyota Corollas, right? They're built in a specific factory in Japan on specific quality requirements to be the most dependable vehicle ever built. And any car survey that you see of reliability or cars that are going to make it to 200,000 miles, there's always going to be a Land Cruiser there. But this baby just has so much character, and I always repeat that. When I get in this, it's a totally different feeling. And that's why if you own a 100 and you own an 80 series, and you might consider, should I sell one of them? It's so difficult because of how different beasts they both are. You know, the 100 in terms of its refinement, take you anywhere, V8 engine, lots of power, just relentless, refined power. It's unbelievable. But you come to this, almost awakens a different side of me, you know, off-road side, sort of adventure, grunt, loud engine, revving, you know, it's a different feeling. It's almost totally different feeling, and it takes me back as well. And I must say, I'm a sucker for those 90s vehicles, and you know, I really like them. So this is how the 80 series is doing. It's got the 1FZ FE engine, which is performing really well now. As you guys know, I flushed the engine, I've put in some fully synthetic oil. You guys know we converted this to a bit of a heavier oil. I was putting in 5W40, and now I've gone to a 10W40, so a bit of a thicker oil, which I think this beast likes a bit more. But apart from that, I absolutely love it, and I'm just enjoying the hell out of it. So Land Cruiser 80 series club in Kenya, we should make a group or whatever. But as soon as I acquired this vehicle, I saw the sort of the love behind these vehicles, because straight away I was able to speak with several other Land Cruiser 80 series owners, and everyone is passionate about their vehicles and maintaining it and keeping it in good nick. So, you know, that's nice to see. We take a quick walk around on this one. So as you can see, my interior is in good shape. I have, of course, got fabric seats, which I wouldn't go for the leather now that I have had the fabric, because it's so easy to maintain and they've worked quite well. Not a bad seat, to be honest. It's a comfortable seat for a Land Cruiser 80 series, so no complaints there. I have of course acquired a wonderful dash mat. You guys know I changed up this steering wheel to put this car, when I bought it, it had a very tiny steering wheel, but we have got the automatic transmission. And of course, I know there's a lot of sun right now, but this is it. Wonderful grab handle, a little cup holder that's not round, and you know, a vehicle that's got a lot of character about it, and one of the few vehicles that you can fit a 285 7516 without any modifications, without any rubbing. I mean, the wheel wells just accommodate it, because this is a car that was built in a time when an SUV was to be rugged like this, with the twin axles and everything to do with that. You know, look at the beefy guts of this vehicle. Look at that spring and the wonderful axle that we have, front axle, which all the Land Cruisers after the 80 series, of course, lost. And you can see that ground clearance that this car has. So, you know, with all the vehicles coming out these days, or even the Land Cruiser 300 series, I mean, we've got to talk about that vehicle and how that one compares. But you do get a sense like they're getting softer. All these vehicles are just kind of getting a bit softer. And it started with when we lost the front axle. Now, I know you don't always need a front axle, but there are certain scenarios where only a front axle works. And independent front suspension is likely to break a CV in those kind of scenarios. But anyways, I understand independent front suspension and the things it brings in terms of comfort. So, you know, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As I promised in my previous video, I'm gonna be posting a bit more often as I try and get a bit more up to date. As you guys know, with the world and everything going on, it's just been a bit tough to get content out on time with everything else that's happening. But I'm gonna try my best to do one video a week for you guys and take it from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit like, subscribe, comment down below, let me know what you think. And cheers, I'll catch you in the next one.